Hi, and welcome back to another episode of This Is Just the Beginning. I just wanted to quickly say that I've really been enjoying podcasting so far. I know this is only my third episode, I think it is now. But yeah, I just enjoy the time I take to sit down with myself and my microphone and you guys and just talk about whatever is on my mind and what I think needs to be talked about a little bit more online. So a little catch up on my day. It's currently 2:50 in the afternoon, and I don't really know what I've done. I did my morning routine. I went for a really long walk. I kind of just looped around the whole campus, which I didn't realize was that long, but it took me about an hour, or just under an hour. So that was my walk this morning, and I listened to two podcasts by Morning Ray, I think, Alana Ray. I think that's her podcast. So I've been listening to them about trying your best and comparison. Those two are things that I'm going to address in another episode, but I just thought I'd share what podcast I was listening to this morning. And then I tried to get an essay done because I'm basically tomorrow I'm going on holiday. I'm meeting my sister in Portugal for a weekend, which is exciting because we're both flying from like our universities, which I know that is just such a cool concept to me. So tomorrow is my first time traveling alone properly. Obviously, I've got trains and buses on my own. I'm at university, so of course I've got alone time, etc. Blah blah blah. But no, tomorrow is my first actual trip away on my own. I know I'm going to a place I'm familiar with and I'm meeting obviously my sister there, but I'm so excited to get from A to B, so from here to the airport and sitting in the airport by myself, maybe having a cheeky cocktail because I know there's a new cocktail bar in the airport. So that is what I'm excited for tomorrow. That's why I've been trying to get all my work done. And saying that, I don't have a lot of work and my essays are due the week after I get back from my trip, but I want them done, or at least like I know what I'm doing, so then I can just sit there and write out all my notes, kind of thing. But anyway, getting on with today's podcast episode, I wanted to talk about, as you've guessed from the title, consistency, trying your best, and perfection. I was scrolling through Pinterest, as you do, yesterday evening, last night, I think I was having dinner and I was on Pinterest and I saw this quote and I just thought, this kind of sums up what I'm trying to get across in this episode. And it said, consistency is more important than perfection. And this draws me on to the concept of comparison. I feel like a lot of us, well, no, we all do it. We all compare where we're at with our journeys, with our lives, everything. We always compare our successes to that of our friends or people we don't even know online, or celebrities, influencers. We constantly compare ourselves to them. Maybe you compare yourself to your sister or your brother or your cousin who your aunt and uncle rave about because they're a doctor in Australia or they've done all this traveling, and what have you done? Just sit on your ass. That is one form of comparison that we're all kind of familiar with. And yeah, it's valid, I guess. The human condition is to compare ourselves a lot, but that doesn't make it acceptable. I really don't like how we do that, but I do it, and I'm really trying not to compare, because that is my whole change of mindset, is to stop comparing my journey with where I'm at with that of other people's and just focus on yourself. That's the key goal, to get out of the funk of comparison all the time. Like looking yourself in the mirror and thinking, oh, I want a smaller waist. I want perfect teeth. Why do I have these spots? So and so doesn't have these spots. So and so looks like this. I want to look like that. Newsflash. So you can never be anyone else. That sounds quite blunt, but no matter how hard you try to look like your dream body, your dream self, this person you follow on Instagram, you just want to look like her so badly. You're never ever going to look like her. even if you eat the same diet, you work out the same way, you live the same life, the same mindset perhaps, you're never going to be that person. And all of that is a sacrifice at the end of the day, because all of that takes you to the point where you burn out, you break down, because it sacrifices your mental health. So trying to look like someone else based off comparison and envy isn't going to get you anywhere. For example, we've all got different body shapes and sizes and metabolisms, so we can never look like someone else. Those YouTube videos that says, "Oh, here's what I ate to lose weight. Watch this," and that works for one person. It doesn't work for everyone. So that's why comparison is kind of, and wishing that you were someone else, it doesn't work, because what is so exciting about the world is that everyone is unique. And isn't that crazy? Because, any other species, they're all kind of the same. So, I don't know, dogs are all dogs, aren't they? Yeah, they all have their own quirks and characteristics. But, they're still all dogs at the end of the day. I suppose that's quite a bad argument to have because they are quite domesticated. But let's think of another analogy of an animal. I don't know, all fish are definitely the same. I know they don't look like the same, but if you think about all one type of fish, they're all pretty much the same. And our species, I don't know what I'm saying here actually, but our species, our race, not race, yeah, I can't get the biological terms right here, I'm so sorry. I do languages, okay, not biology. But our species shares this uniqueness. Not one of us is the same. Identical twins, not the same. I get that question all the time, whether me, because I've got a twin sister, but we look nothing alike. Growing up, going off on one here, but growing up, I was like half a foot shorter than her, brown straight hair with a fringe, and she's got blonde curly short hair. We're just completely opposite. Now we're beginning to look a little bit more alike, especially when we both had our hair dyed blonde. I know we look more alike now, but that's not my point. I'm just saying that not two people are the same. So why waste time comparing yourself to someone else when you can kind of bathe in the knowledge and the excitement that the world contains all these individuals that are all unique? And I just think that is so amazing. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited by that. I'm inspired by that. So I guess another way to deal with comparison then is to, next time you are doom scrolling, as I like to call it, when you're just going through Instagram, knowing that you're about to, or you are, subconsciously, intentionally, whatever, comparing yourself to them, zooming in onto pictures to like look at bodies, or, seeing that they're with all their friends all the time and you're always alone, or they're partying. No, social media is fake. I heard someone say that, Reels, the like short clips on Instagram and highlight reels, and they're just short snippets of your life. That's what Instagram is. That's what social media is. You only see the side that someone else puts on. So if you are comparing yourself to this person who you think is all put together and, got this dream life, is so productive, does all these things, does their walks and their yoga and their journaling, and does that every single morning, because I don't do that every morning. And if you think that they're a machine because they do all these things, no, that's just not correct. Nobody can ever do all those things and not burn out. Nobody is perfect in the slightest. Nobody at all in this world can be perfect. So if you keep comparing yourself to those people, it's only going to bring you down and make you believe in this illusion that social media is true. Because, they could post that picture of them completing all these tasks in the day while they're sitting in bed and they did that yesterday. Or that vlog could have been filmed over many, many days, over many, many weeks. So just keep that in mind next time you're on social media and you start to compare your life to someone else, or your bodies. Again, filters, Photoshop, Facetune. Like, I feel like we all know these things, but we just always forget them every time we're on social media. So there's one way of dealing with comparison, but also if you find yourself comparing and you're online on Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're doing, stop. Tell yourself, right, Ellie, get off your phone right now. And this is what I do. If I find myself going down that hole, I like throw my phone across the room dramatically. I don't, but I close the app down and turn my phone off, not go onto another app or anything, and just stand up and go for a walk or do something else. Because usually, I feel like this is the case for everyone, but usually I go onto Instagram or Pinterest or TikTok when I'm supposed to be working. So get back on with that work. And if you have gone a little bit far and you have started comparing yourself and you feel, a bit down about it, try journaling, try write it out, go speak to a friend, try and work out why you're feeling that way. And if it's like, well, I don't have what this person has, so what? You have everything else. Everything else is going for you right now. Yeah, you don't have a small waist, perhaps, but you've got the cutest smile. And no one cares about appearance anyway. It's about all the little things people like about you. I don't know, like the way your hair dries, people might like. The way you laugh. The way you scrunch your nose when you're thinking too hard, or the way you're always late to things. People might absolutely love that about you. They don't care what you look like. And the people that do care what you look like, well, you can get rid of those friends because they're not friends. And that's another way to deal with the whole comparison concept. I'm saying this as if I don't do all these things. Bloody hell, I do these all the time. But again, I am trying to work on it, and that's what I'm trying to preach today, like how to work on comparison. But another way to do it is just to simply, again, by journaling or just sitting yourself down and evaluating everyone in your life right now and think, okay, are these group of friends, especially at school, are they good for me? Because if you surround yourself by others who compare themselves to each other, or your best friend is always on social media saying how fat she looks, or like she just scrolls like next to you on her phone going, oh, I wish I was her, I wish I was this person, that's going to affect your mindset. Our mindsets are constructed by what we hear. Kind of like, when you're a child, you kind of accept and take on all of your parents' beliefs and attitudes, and it's only when you grow up to like, I don't know, 14, 16, you start to realize, actually, no, I've got my own opinions. It's the exact same way here. Our mindset is based off other people, and it's really hard to then change that mindset into, okay, how do I think for myself? How do I, what do I actually believe in? That is a very tricky thing to think about because, as I said, everything's just funneled into our brains on a day-to-day basis. Everything we see, whether that is online, most of it is online, or by our teachers at school, or the people we hang out with, there is no filter. Our mind doesn't say, unless you train it to, it doesn't say, no, thank you. It just takes it all in, it absorbs all of this information until we're not really our own selves. And then I suppose, going off on a tangent again, I know, but I suppose then that relates back to the whole uniqueness thing and the individuality of the human race, because actually, in our minds, in the Western world, we're all the same. We all compare, we all judge, we all strive to be better by putting other people down. Only until we teach ourselves not to do those things. And that is really hard. So, as I was saying, evaluate the friends you're with. And if they are those people that are putting themselves down or putting each other down or putting you down quite a lot, and this happens especially during school, cut them out your life. I don't mean in a massive dramatic way of saying, oh my god, I can't have you in my life anymore, you're so negative. Well, maybe do it that way, but just, subtly leave. And I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and a lot of people say, oh, I can't leave my friends, like that's my friendship group, who would I hang out with? Trust me, you're better off without them. There's always someone else that, might have seen all this happen to you. You know, if you're in a friendship group and all your friends constantly put you down, there'll be other people, for example, at school who see this and they want to be your friend. They don't want you to be friends with them anymore. And you don't want to be friends with them. So, you know, go get that other friend. I promise you that they will be so much nicer to you. Or just work on yourself, as I was saying in my last episode. Just focus on yourself, prioritize yourself, stop comparing. So then this brings me back to the main title of this episode of consistency is more important than perfection. We compare ourselves to these people because we want to be perfect. I guess everyone in life wants to be perfect. But again, perfection, the word perfect, I despise. On one hand, you can say, oh, yeah, but everyone's perfect. Everyone's already beautiful. Everyone's already got this idea of perfect in their mind. No, perfection is a social construct, much like beauty. And I don't think we should use these words as much as we do. For example, the whole societal concept of perfection is so distorted and superficial. Because what is a perfect life? What is a beautiful person? If you start to accept that nothing's perfect, then it makes life a whole lot easier. Constantly, you're building into this new person, you're evolving, you're trying new things, you're challenging yourself, you're overcoming challenges, and life throws all these obstacles in your way. So every day cannot be perfect. Every day is not going to look the same. As long as you try your best every single day, nothing else matters to me personally. As long as I know that I've tried my best in a day or in an exam, for a very good analogy of that, I know that that's okay. So in an exam, for example, last week, let's say I did an exam. I tried my very best, but I only got 50%. But I know that I tried so hard to do well. Of course, I was annoyed, but I just tried so hard to do well. That's one day, that's one exam. And then maybe yesterday, let's say, I did another exam and I got 88%. And I tried my best again, and it was just such a better score, and I was so happy again. But at the same time, of course, I was happier than my last exam, but I was still happy to the same level that I tried my best. Numbers, thoughts, emotions, they don't count as long as you try your best with everything you do. So, in order to gain perfection, you just can't. Instead, replace that with this idea of consistency, of trying your best. Always showing up for yourself. That is something that is so important today. Like, don't back down from yourself. That's a really weird concept to describe, actually. But if you can feel yourself going through this rough patch or down this rabbit hole of comparison, give yourself a break and give yourself time to like step back and think, okay, I need to show up for myself here. That I need to actually prioritize myself. That phrase, I'm sorry, I cannot explain that phrase correctly. It's like show up for yourself. Do the things that you want to do and try not to let the world like distort those views, I guess. But I keep going off on tangents here. But this is another thing, because if you compare yourself to someone else's life, then so what? It's the typical quote, isn't it? I feel like everyone's heard this, but don't compare your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 7, chapter 10, chapter 11, or even chapter 2. Like, everyone starts from somewhere in this whole journey of life and figuring out what the hell we want and what the purpose of life is, and all those horrible questions that I do not want to answer ever. No one can answer those questions, so I'm not even going to attempt to answer those questions. But it's one of those things. As long as you try your best every day, it doesn't matter what someone else is doing. You just getting out of bed this morning, or you might be listening to this in bed, but you just getting up shows that you're trying your best. And as I was saying at the start of the episode, every day looks differently. So with that exam analogy as well, one day you could be feeling like literally on top of the moon, like 100%. You could take the world over. You just, you just feel so good, and you love yourself. You love everything you're doing, and you've got no doubts, no worries, no anxieties. For me, these days actually happen quite a lot recently, which is really nice. But the past couple of days, I have felt quite lost. I don't know whether anyone else gets like this sometimes, but like this morning and last night, I just felt a bit, oh, what's the point in this all? What's the point in recovery, for example? That's what I was thinking last night. But then at the very start of my recovery, I was saying, no. And I've got a massive poster. If you could see that, I really wish you could see that. Got a massive poster in my room that, like, this big fat Sharpie just saying, it's not even a poster, just this massive piece of paper. I think it's like A1 on my back of my door. And it just says, don't give up. Like, I know, I'm not going to read it out because, it's quite cringy, but it basically just says, just don't give up. Like, you're going to have thoughts of giving up on this journey. You're going to think, what's the point in all this? But just don't do it, because life beyond recovery is just so much better than what you used to be. And at the same time, like, I don't want to be stuck in this void of in between, of like being in this recovery phase forever. No, I've got to build up and up every single day. So if I'm thinking, and if you're thinking, oh, what's the point in this? Oh, I'm just not going to try today, with whatever it is that's going on, whether just in general you just can't be arsed, I guess, is the best, nicest way to put it. Just think, like, no, actually, I'm going to pursue this. Change your negative mindset into a positive one. But at the same time, some days are going to be worse. I know that. Some days you don't want to get out of bed, and that is fine. Honestly, you can have a whole day in bed if you want to, but then don't feel guilty. Because I hate staying in bed. I can't do it. That is part of my recovery. I need to actually let myself stay in bed and not get up the first thing I do. But some mornings you just don't want to get up. And those mornings, if you say, right, I'm going to sleep in a bit later, don't feel guilty then if you get up at 11 or 12 and think, oh, I should have been doing this. No, because you needed that rest. That is you trying your best. It rhymes. Just don't feel guilty doing what's best for you. You listen to your body. Your body is your mind. Your body is part of you. And this is something that I struggled with quite a lot over the past couple of years. I just felt so detached. I don't know, it's kind of deep. This is getting very deep, guys. But I just felt really detached from myself through a process of, an eating disorder. And just the past few years, I just felt like my body wasn't my body, and it was an object that I could punish, and I could take my anger out on it. And it wasn't part of me. So that's why I didn't really feel any at the start when I did have them. I felt no hunger cues, or I don't know, I just felt so, my mind was just so distorted that my body wasn't part of me. But then I also had the fact that my mind wasn't part of me either. So I was just this, I don't know how to say this without getting emotional and not explaining it properly, but I was just this thing, and that my body wasn't part of me, and my mind, just because the only thing in my mind was just my ED thoughts, and that was just controlling my mind. So I was just kind of nothing. And I'm not joking, only recently I have actually began to feel like a person. Oh, that's so deep. I'm so sorry, but I've only really began to feel like I'm part of one thing. That's why listening to your body is so vital, and your mind. If you have gone through that detached feeling, I'm sorry, it sucks. But just one day I woke up and thought, no, I'm going to fix this. And I know that hearing that is the worst thing in the world. Trust me. And so, just one day you'll wake up and you want to change everything. It is true. That is what happened. It was a couple months ago, not even that, a month ago. I woke up and I was like, right, I need to change what I'm doing. I'm not going to be stuck in this, as I said, void, this limbo of in-between phases. I'm not going to be stuck in that. No, I don't want to, because that's worse. Because what is that phase? It's not a phase, it's just nothingness, limbo, just pointlessness, worthlessness, and that's when all the thoughts come in like that. Like, what's the point in this? Because you're not doing anything, you're just existing, which is what I did for so long. But now I'm living and I'm not existing. Well, I am existing, but you need to live. You want to, I don't know, just take every day as it comes and just find such great things in it. Find the good in every day. Find something exciting to do every day. And yeah, as long as you try your best every day, that is all I ask from you. So if you are in bed this morning, or whenever you're listening to this, and you're really, really having a bad day, I've been there, we've all been there. I'm not going to tell you to get out of bed, go for a run, drink a smoothie. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say, at least you're not, at least you're pushing through. You're staying in bed because you're listening to your body and you need a rest. Yeah, you might feel like shit, but that's okay. Tomorrow you might wake up feeling a little bit better. You might get out of bed, you might go out the house. So just remember that each day you're trying, and that's all that matters. A little thing each day. Consistency builds up, but remember that perfection doesn't exist. There's no point in it existing, because then we'd all strive for that one goal, but there is no one goal of perfection, because everyone has a different ideology of what perfection actually is. So that's why I can't define perfection to you, because I don't think it exists. And if it did exist, it would be, for me, striving for perfection and striving for having a perfect life, in quote marks, would be striving for the best version of myself. To me, that's perfect without using that term. Striving for perfection is striving for the very best you can achieve. And that changes every day. That grows every day. You're constantly growing, you're constantly seeking the next best thing, which is so exciting. So please just remember that and take that on board with you. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry for the lack of structure and the ramble, but I've enjoyed talking about this. It is something that I could do again and talk about it in way more structure, but yeah, that is my episode on consistency and trying your best. So thank you for listening, and I will speak to you guys again soon. Goodbye.